Gotta talk to him. Yeah. Yeah, don't cry, dry your eyes. Here come the homies with them nickel-plated knives.
Shalom. This message that I'm putting up right now is on the new moon and how it is supposed to be kept. The reason why I'm doing this lesson is because there's been a doctrine going around regarding a lunar Sabbath, and those who adhere to that doctrine are teaching others that the new moon is to be observed as a Sabbath. Now, I'm going to show from Scripture, mainly from the Torah, on how the new moon is to be kept. I'm also going to use authoritative sources to back that up and explain some of the scriptures that others have used to push forth this lunar Sabbath or new moon Sabbath doctrine. I'm going to show that this doctrine is totally false and that it is against the laws of the Most High. So let's start off in Psalm 81, verse 3. It says, "Blow up the trumpet in the new moon, in the time appointed on our solemn feast day." Verse 4, "For this was a statute for Israel and a law of the mighty one of Jacob." All right, so we see that the trumpets are to be blown in the new moon, and it says in the time appointed. Now this word is actually the Hebrew word keseh. According to Strong's, it's word number 3677, and this word means properly fullness or the full moon. That is its festival. For example, the Feast of Passover, the first high day of Passover is a full moon. It's on the 15th of the month. And the first high day or high holy day of the Feast of Tabernacles is also on the 15th of the month. And if you look up in the sky, you'll see a full moon. So this word here, in the time appointed on our solemn feast day, it means a full moon. Okay? Now, I'm showing you that just to show that now this was a statute for Israel and a law of the Most High. All right, now let's go back to the law, because that's where we learn how to keep the feast, and that's where we're given our commandments, our instruction. Now notice in Numbers chapter 28, verse 11, it says, "And in the beginning of your months ye shall offer a burnt offering unto Yahweh, 2 young bullocks and 1 ram, 7 lambs of the first year without spot, and 3/10 deals of flour for a meat offering mingled with oil." Okay? Now this is what you're supposed to do at the beginning of your months, the first day of the month. All right, and another law, or to add to this law concerning the new moon, where it reads in Numbers 10, verse 10, "Also in the day of your gladness and in your solemn days," those are the high days, all right, just like we read in Psalms 81, "and in the beginnings of your months ye shall blow with the trumpets over your burnt offerings and over the sacrifices of your peace offerings, that they may be to you for a memorial before your mighty one. I am Yahweh, your mighty one." All right, so those are the instructions right there that we're given concerning the new moon. We're to offer sacrifices. We're told which sacrifices to offer, and we're supposed to blow the trumpets or the shofar. All right. Now you should be able to tell just from reading in the law that the new moon, the laws concerning the new moon and the Sabbath are different. Even the sacrifices are distinct from each other. Notice Numbers 28, verse 9. "And on the Sabbath," these are the sacrifices that are to be offered. It says, "On the Sabbath day, 2 lambs of the first year without spot, and 2/10 deals of flour for a meat offering, mingled with oil, and the drink offering thereof." This is the burnt offering of every Sabbath, beside the continual burnt offering and his drink offering, meaning beside the daily offerings. Okay, so that's the burnt offering that's offered every Sabbath. Now notice in the following verse, in verse 11, it says, and in the beginnings of your months ye shall offer a burnt offering unto Yahweh, 2 young bullocks and 1 ram, 7 lambs of the first year without spot, and 3/10 deals of flour for a meat offering mingled with oil, for 1 bullock, and 2/10 deals of flour for a meat offering mingled with oil for 1 ram. All right, you can clearly see here the new moon offering and the Sabbath offerings are different. Now, if the new moon was a Sabbath, you would have it, the same offering would be commanded to be given. Because in verse 10, Numbers 28, verse 10, it says, this is the burnt offering of every Sabbath. All right, so you can clearly see a difference between the new moon and the Sabbath. Okay, so now let's go to the scripture in question, because some have gone outside the Torah. You know, they've gone outside the law and used a scripture from one of the prophets to establish the new moon as a Sabbath. All right, in Amos chapter 8, verse 5, it reads, well, let's start at verse 4. It reads, hear this, O ye that swallow up the needy, even to make the poor of the land to fail, saying, when will the new moon be gone, that we may sell corn, and the Sabbath, that we may set forth wheat, making the ephah small and the shekel great, and falsifying balances by deceit. Now you can see in here that this is being spoken about of in a bad light. All right, this isn't a positive thing. For now, before I'm going to break down and explain this scripture here, but before I do that, let's go to some authoritative sources on this matter here, just to first prove from these authoritative sources what's going on and what the commentators have to say concerning the new moon. Now, I know some might buck up against the commentators. Some people attempt to criticize those who use commentators or the commentaries to back up certain facts of Scripture. But what we're doing when we do this is we're giving other witnesses and showing other point of views from different scholars. This is from Clark's commentary of the Bible on Amos 8 and 5, when it says, when will the new moon be gone? And he says, this was kept as a kind of holy day, not by divine command, but by custom. Did you see that? It says, not by divine command, but by custom. Because you can't find a commandment in the Torah that tells you to keep the new moon as a Sabbath, as a day of rest. You won't find a commandment from the Torah telling you that you can't work or do laborious work on the new moon. All right, now let's go to Scripture. As a matter of fact, let's go to Leviticus 23. Now, Leviticus 23, I'm not going to go through the whole chapter, but if you read from verse 1 all the way to the last verse, in verse 44, you will see that the Most High has ordained the weekly Sabbaths and 7 annual Sabbaths. He's given us the first high day of Passover, the last day of Passover. He's given us the day of Shavuot, or Pentecost. All right, so that's 3 Sabbaths. He's also given us the Feast of Trumpets. That makes 4. All right. Now, concerning the Feast of Trumpets, this is the only new moon that we're commanded to keep as a Sabbath. In Leviticus 23, verse 24, it says, speak to the children of Israel, saying, in the 7th month, in the first day of the month, ye shall have a Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of trumpets, and holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein, but ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh. Now, if every new moon was a Sabbath, he wouldn't have to stipulate that in the law.